gun control is so tricky because I see both sides. I do understand. I understand the amendment, everyone's right to have a gun. That makes sense to me, especially when it comes to things like protection or providing for your family. That makes sense. But at the same time, everybody, not everybody gets a gun, right? That's crazy. You all know somebody, you're like, this motherfucker should not have a gun, right? It's so easy to be irresponsible with a gun. When's the last time you held a gun and didn't do this shit? People freak out every time. Like, no, don't. Like, I wouldn't, but would I? It's a timeless bit. That shit has been funny for centuries. I think it's so easy to be irresponsible with a gun that I think a simple interim solution would be, it just needs to be a little bit harder to get the gun. That's all I suggest. I think there's so many tiers to responsibility you should have to surpass before you can have a gun. That's all I suggest. And I'm not even proposing anything difficult. Simple shit. Like, if you haven't had sex yet, straight up, no gun. Okay, that is way too much power for you. How are you gonna pull a trigger before you've had to pull out? Like, that takes discipline, and I need to see you in a moment of crisis, okay? Can you handle the power? Do you realize if something as simple as that was implemented, if something as simple as having sex was a requirement for getting a registered firearm, what kind of impact that would have on the entire problem? School shootings would drop off almost completely. Have you ever seen pictures of these kids who shoot up schools? They are so fucking ugly. You kind of get it a little bit. Like, they weren't fucking. There has never been a handsome school shooter that they were like, he was gonna be prom king. Like, never once. Never. No one has time to write a manifesto and get pussy. That's science, okay? It's too much detail. Look, I'm well aware that school shootings is a very hard thing to try to make funny. But we're gonna try. And I feel like I owe the explanation as to, like, why would I joke about something that's fucked up? And the reason being is it's sort of my coping mechanism. I try to make light of terrible situations, and luckily through humor, so that I'm not sad every fucking day. Because what's the first thing you do when you wake up every morning? You check your phone, right? Probably get on Twitter, or some sort of news. Yeah, you get caught up. Doesn't it feel like there's something negative immediately? There's so much negativity in front of our faces daily that I can't imagine living any kind of life where I don't have an outlet for that negativity. It just festers inside of me and makes me a miserable human being. If I have an outlet through humor, I'm going to use it. You be miserable, not me. Now, I respect that that's not for everybody. That's not how everybody's brain works. Like, I had a woman furious one time. She stood up in the middle of a show one time when I was doing some other school shooting material. And she was furious. She stood up and was like, "You shouldn't do jokes about school shootings." And I was like, "Why?" She was like, "Because what if it happened to you? What if you lost your kid in a school shooting incident? Could you make jokes about it then?" And I was like, this bitch. It's like context, you know what I mean? It's a comedy show. Clearly, everything I'm saying is hypothetical. Like, I'm not talking about this in a literal sense, especially because I don't have any fucking kids, okay? So it's not something I have to think about on a daily basis. But it's something I had never taken into consideration. So it did fuck me up a little bit. I had to take a step back as a man and as a comedian and actually ask myself, like, if I lost my kid in a school shooting incident, could I ever make jokes about it? And the answer is yeah. It's a hard yes for me. Okay, that is for sure how I would heal through that traumatic experience. Are you kidding me? Second of all, it's my kid. That's fucking fair game, okay? There is no way I'm not killing it at that funeral. Like, he was never good at hide and seek. Like, come on, man. That shit is too easy, bro. The kids don't play the games anymore. It's easier targets. Hashtag bring back hide and seek. I like this topic only because it creates such a divide racially between black people and white people when it comes to the topic of school shootings, because it's usually us. And black people love to joke all the time. They love to be like, oh, it's all the white kids shooting up all the schools. Shooting up the schools, a white kid's sport. I hear that joke all the time. Shooting up the schools, a white kid's sport. It's funny. It's a good joke. Until you think about the history of sports. Because if I know anything about the history of sports, it's that if white people are good at it now, black people are going to be way better at it someday. Somebody got to be Wilt. Somebody got to come in and change the game.